You should be a wrestler. I love your muscles.
Cool.
Yeah, I love your muscles in the chat.
My finisher would be like,
oh.
Yeah, like the stab of truth. And I just hit him in the stomach and they like, they throw up because they're liars.
Okay.
Welcome back to Seeker and Confessor, a Sword of Truth podcast. I'm Frank.
And I'm Lauren.
And today we're covering chapter 32 of Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind.
Good job.
Thank you.
We're both a little sick, me more so.
Oh, yeah. We're down in the dumps.
Apologies if I don't sound my best.
You know, we're a little sick, but I'm not sick of Terry Goodkind in this chapter.
That's, a good segue.
Yeah, right?
I was not enraged. I had like a couple of things here and there that I was just like, but this was definitely not a rage chapter. I enjoyed reading it. I thought it was decent. I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it one bit.
Yeah.
I hated it like one bit, but
yeah, like a bit.
There's a bit. The normal amount.
Yeah, we just came back from a trip, so hence the illnesses that have overtaken us.
Yeah.
Did not feel like making myself look nice today, so we got the Lord Rawl hat.
That is nice.
Doing the work.
Yeah, honestly, that's official gear in the People's Palace of Dahar. So.
Oh yeah, when you go to the People's Palace, there's actually a merch shop at the end before you leave.
There should be at every palace.
And they sell these there.
Look at that.
So that's where I bought it.
Straight out of the Daharan press.
Yeah.
The sweatshops of Dark and Raw.
And I considered not filming, but we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary.
We simply can't do that to you guys.
Very soon.
Yeah.
And we have yet to not upload on time, so I was like, I'm pushing through. So if I'm low energy and I sound bad and I look bad, sorry. And I know I'm coming off of the Shota, hotsy-totsy wig and all of the get-up. So this might be a downgrade.
This is the duality of woman.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
That's so true.
So true.
Oh my
I know.
God. Yeah, and it's like kind of like Shota's illusion magic. That's like what putting on the wig and the makeup is just, it's the same.
It's the same. That's how she appears to herself, but this is how she is when her and Samuel
are alone.
Curled up next to a fire, just listening to the crickets. I don't know. Whatever they do in the Reach.
I think it was Mr. No, it was not Mr. Stoney. Fire Mage said he thought that Shota's a little sapphic. And he didn't give me any explanation as to why he thinks that.
You probably thought that too.
Well, I thought that, but I also didn't have any textual proof. And I don't know if he does either. So I'm curious why he said that.
It's just the size of the chest. That's it.
Wait. Oh my God, I forgot.
What happened?
Hold on. Okay, so there's a new feature for the audio listeners. There's a new thing that's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify called Fan Mail.
Oh,
right?
Fan Mail, yeah.
So like when you go, you'll notice it. It's like on the top of the page. It says send fan mail. And then you can like text us messages. And obviously when it gave me the option to turn it on, I was like, yes. So we got our first fan mail.
Are you going to read it off?
Yes.
I'm so hyped.
Of course. Of course I have to.
So this is the button you're going to click when you want to show off your Shota cosplays to us, or you want to send us the hard-hitting confessions of love for either myself or Lauren. But
and you could
if
you could do it anonymous too, so don't be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Go
exactly.
ahead.
Yeah, there's no reason for you not to confess.
You could confess, oh my God,
truth.
You could confess the truth about how much you love us.
Look at that.
How how much you love Chase, how much you love Kahlan, how much you love Shota, yeah. Or you can send, I don't know if they can send cosplays. I don't know if they can send.
If you want that brand stone, hit the button.
I don't know if they can send photos, so don't tell them they could do that. I don't know if it's true. If you have photos.
Put them on Imgur, put the link in the text. There you go.
Or you could do that.
There you go.
You could DM us on social media. You could also email us. Getting off topic. The point is there's a very easy feature now called Fan Mail. So if you're an audio listener and you're not in the comments on YouTube chatting it up with me, Erica, Cynthia, and our newest friend, username Bastillo. I know that's not your name. I just don't remember.
It's mysterious for now, though.
Bastillo.
Bastillo.
We're all chatting, and some of you are audio listeners, and you're not. So now you can send the fan mail. We got our first. I'm going to read it.
You want me to take this one for you, or you got it?
I don't know why.
Protect that delicate voice of yours, you know?
Okay. Yeah. Also, on our trip, shout out Portland. Shout out Denver, Colorado, where we went.
Oh, yeah.
Portland's
amazing.
If you guys lived there, hi. We were nearby.
We were all up in your place.
Read the fan mail. Let's go.
All right. From... Oh, it's anonymous. Never mind.
Yeah, but it's whoever you are, you live in Georgia.
We know that much. Hey, y'all. Having a great time listening to your pod. Love how you don't kiss TJ's ass and give an honest review while having fun with it.
Thank you.
Also listening to an Animorphs review pod, so I'm nostalgia bombing.
Sounds
anyway,
great.
just listen to chapter 29. Not sure if anyone already pointed this out, but when Zed realized there was something missing from his enclave, it was the Book of Counted Shadows that George Cypher stole.
I definitely did not know that.
Nope, didn't know it.
Nobody did point it out, nor did I put that together. That's actually very interesting.
Yeah, and it makes sense.
It makes total sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that ever explicitly said, or are you just really smart and you figured that out?
I'm guessing it comes up at some point, and then Terry says it again at another point.
Well, it's very interesting, so thank you for mentioning that. Also, thank you for liking the fact that we don't kiss Terry Goodkind's ass, because I'm sure some people don't like it, but I'm sure some of you do.
And we never will.
Well, we're definitely not going to kiss his ass. It's like neutral. I have no vested interest in hating Terry Goodkind.
None.
I have no vested interest in defending Terry Goodkind to the ends of the earth either.
No. If we like it, we call it as we see it.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's that.
Our girlies in the comments, they're okay with the fact that
we're calling him out.
That we're calling him out.
Yeah.
And that's who I'm really concerned with.
You here for the girlies?
Yeah. And I'm going to be real. Thank you, whoever wrote that. I guess I don't know if you're a man or a woman. But what I will say is that the girlies are very active and very communicative and have a lot to say.
They do.
And the men are not quite showing up the same way.
All right.
So yeah, this chapter was definitely not bad. I liked the momentum of it.
Yep.
I did not dislike the Richard and Kahlan interactions. Yeah. Although, like, I don't like it because I'm not, like, enjoying Kahlan being severely depressed. It's upsetting and all that. But, like, I thought it was a fairly good dynamic the way it was written. I thought it was exploring interesting things. So, good job, Terry. Rachel and Giller was better this time, I guess, because we're, like, actually
we're getting into some of the meat or the
plot
or the
and
bread
characterization.
Of it. Yeah.
Oh. The bread
I'm
of
here
it
for
all.
puns only.
The bread of it all. We ended with Mommy Shota, don't come back or I'll kill you.
Yep.
Richard and Kahlan, off they go. And then we open this chapter. We're back actually at the palace with Rachel and Giller to begin with. And then we go back and forth between them and Richard and Kahlan.
In the nation of...
Tamarang.
Tamarang.
I don't know,
I
I wrote it down.
Listen.
Not millennia. Sorry to
that would have been
break it to
so
you.
good.
Sure. I don't know that we would have thought that.
It would have been very on point for Terry. That's all.
What is the linguistic
There are
conventions
none.
going on here?
There are
Tamarang?
none. Tamarang. Yeah.
With Queen Milena?
Yeah.
All right. I'd like to know more. They do keep implying that these people are getting, like, attacked all the time.
They imply that.
There's, like, it keeps coming
or, like,
up.
in the past, because...
At some point.
I guess, I don't know.
Rachel and Giller in the palace, crossing paths in the hallway.
By chance.
Perchance. Giller asks Rachel where she's going. She says she is going to tell, like, the cleaning women to get a gravy stain out of Princess Violet's dress.
That big fat fatty.
Yeah.
Can't stop rolling around in food.
Just eating her biscuits and gravy, whatever.
Girl, same, but...
Right.
Yeah.
And, like, honestly, I might get a gravy stain in my dress.
But you wouldn't say that the cleaning girls got the gravy stain in your dress, would you?
No.
You're not that kind of a bad fat person, right?
Right.
Right. Okay.
Just so you guys know, some good fat people exist. Terry might want you to think otherwise.
Yeah, no, we do exist.
Here to represent.
We're here on this podcast.
Anyway. So Giller apologizes for not being able to talk to her since the last time they spoke when he gave her the doll and all that. He asks if she found her doll. Rachel says, yes, I did. I love my doll. I named her Sarah.
Yep.
Okay. The doll has a name. As we proceed in this chapter, do you take back your theory that Giller is evil? Or do you think that, like, oh, I don't know, is there going to be, like, a complex heel turn or something?
No, I don't think so.
You think he's just a good guy?
I think he's a good guy, but clearly he was playing a bad guy for a while.
Or something like that.
But yeah. I think so. I think that the heel turn is what we're seeing now.
Well, it's not a heel turn.
Well, it's a turn towards the light. Let's call
hero
it
turn.
A hero turn.
Yeah.
He's turning hero.
Somebody on vacation this week told Frank that he should be a wrestler, like a WWE wrestler.
Yeah. So send us some fan mail if you agree.
Hit us up in the comments, or send a fan mail and say, yes, my king, you should be a wrestler. I love your muscles.
Cool. Yeah,
I love your muscles in the chat.
Hell yeah, I want that message every damn day.
It just made me think.
My finisher would be like, like the stab of truth, and I just hit them in the stomach, and they throw up because they're liars.
Okay, we are taking back that we think Giller's bad. Although, the doll saying help Giller was a little ominous. And
so here's the thing. This man is obviously manipulating a child.
Right, but he's doing it for good.
But he's doing it for not the end of the world, so I can forgive him. I would do this. I would manipulate the shit out of a little girl if it meant not everyone didn't die. See, it would have been a good thing if Giller was bad, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so much talk in this chapter about like what makes a good person and how bad people actually want to be perceived as good by being nice to you up front. That if Giller was actually bad, that would have been a good message. Or maybe like a complex sort of plot device.
Yeah.
Of Giller teaching her how to spot bad people while actually just being bad.
Sure.
Would have been cool, but I don't think that's what's happening.
Yeah, I don't think so. I thought it would be interesting if Giller was like some third option.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like he's not like dark and raw bad. He's not good either.
Well, he's like a box mercenary.
Yeah, like he wants something for himself that's not perfectly good, but also isn't horrible. That would be interesting, but I get the sense that like he just wants to save the world to like make up for some misdeeds in the past or something.
There's good and there's bad in this world. There's fat and there's skinny in this world. So figure out what side of the sword you land on.
Yeah.
And that's that.
And there's extremely moral people or violent rapists. That's it.
There's pedophiles who fear fire, and there's bastions of truth who just want to kiss their favorite girl in the woods.
Right.
All right, back to Giller.
So she's like, Giller, I'm going to help you. I didn't know you also wanted to run away. That's great news. And then he's like, we're definitely going to do it, but...
Yeah, we're definitely running.
But we need like a few days. So they hear footsteps coming down the hall. Giller's like, I cannot be seen talking to you, little girl. Get behind my robes.
And he just like booty bumps her like straight into the stone wall.
Yeah.
And so this is the first confirmation of her actual size, right? Because
later
pretty small.
That, and then after this, he like picks her up and like carries her around. So I was like, oh, she's like very little.
Is she a puppy? Like
that's reading like 4 to like max like 6, right?
Yeah,
he's an old man.
Well, I guess she's always getting starved because Princess Piggy's just shoving all the food down her gullet and not giving any.
Yeah, I guess so.
She could be 14.
I don't think so. I don't know. If this man's like just casually picking her up, that makes me think she's very young.
She's got to be young.
Like 5, right?
Yeah. Her head has to be below his butt cheeks, right? Like, because you can't be smushing your butt into this kid's head.
I mean, you can, for the end of the world.
Yeah, that's true.
So she's hiding. The queen comes. She has her dog with her. She comes over to Giller and she's like, why are you lurking up here? The dynamic between them, I would say actually could be interesting if I thought at all it would ever matter or come back.
Yeah,
I'd like to
it won't
get into it, but it's not going to.
No, I agree with that. It was like the seeds of something that could be cool.
Sure. So he's like, I'm making sure that nobody's tampering with the seal on the jewelry room.
Yep.
He's very sassy with her. He's
Huge
really
sass.
rude. It's not that I care. It's just that I'm kind of surprised it works, but
Yeah.
he's got his thing he's doing here. So he's like, yeah, well, Dark and Rawl's coming to visit soon, so I guess I'll just hope that everything's okay and nobody steals the box. And if, it goes missing, I'll just say that I wasn't supposed to be lurking. So I'm like, wow, okay.
There's no need for this amount of sass.
Not really. I feel like he could manipulate her better, but I guess this works, so maybe he knows something we do not.
Yeah, that she's really dumb.
Well, I know that, but you could, because we saw the chef manipulate her via her being dumb by being overly nice to her.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So why is Giller choosing this approach?
I think, so the chef's at a lower station.
Right.
And I feel like, while the wizard's also technically at a lower station, he has something over her, which is clearly his intelligence.
Right,
So
I guess so.
I think Melina respects those who use the thing that they have bluntly.
Okay.
And with force, because that's what she does.
I guess
She has
that's
her
true.
power, she cuts off your head. He's like, listen, you hired me because I'm smart. Why are you challenging me ever on smart things?
So the dog's like sniffing around because
this dog.
It smells Rachel.
Yep.
And the queen's like, what do you smell? And Giller's like, actually, it's just because I was in the horse stable. The dog smells the horses. And then as he's saying that, he like puts some magic dust, which seems to have lots of applications. He puts some magic dust on the dog, which makes the dog sneeze. Mm-hmm. And then the dog kind of goes away. Again, she's like all worked up about him being in the stable. She's like, why would you ever be in there? And then he's like, because like assassins might be hiding in the stable. And I didn't make that up, that he does in fact say assassins.
What if assassins are in there? And then he uses the clever choice of, what if they decided to stick you with a big fat arrow?
Yeah.
Which I'm like, huh. All right.
I was like, are we actually worried about any specific assassins coming, like, from a specific area? Or is this just a general paranoia?
Yeah, yes, but Terry didn't develop them. So, no, it's just a general paranoia.
Yeah, I was just like, who's trying to kill this lady?
She's
I would
just
like to know.
Someone could. You're right. I never thought about it. I just do cut off everyone's head for no reason. It's like the Queen of Hearts was very paranoid because she was also killing everybody. But she held the paranoia. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
She didn't need to be reminded of the paranoia.
Right.
This lady just seems to forget that everyone might hate her for the way she is.
It's true. So then the queen's like nice to her and she apologizes. She's like, oh, I'm just stressed because Dark Aral's coming to visit. So then she's like, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a good job. And then she's like, and also, by the way, Dark Aral is coming much earlier than we thought. He's coming tomorrow. Which Giller is stressed out about.
Yeah, that's like a 90s movies twist.
Yeah. So Giller asks Rachel to go get Princess Violet's key to the jewel room.
Yep.
Which is in Princess Violet's room, and Rachel knows where it is. She goes in, she gets it. She also stops in. She goes into her little sleeping box where she has the doll, Sarah, now living. And
yeah, she plays with her doll. She thinks about the princess's bed that she has never sat on. And how it could easily fit 12 people. Why does she need such a big bed? We spend way too much time in the room.
Yeah, we definitely
probably because
do.
we're going back there important at some other point. But yeah, whatever. So she goes in, gets the key, comes out.
And so yeah, Giller picks her up and walks down the hallway. So again, she must be little.
Mm-hmm.
And Giller is explaining to Rachel this is all very serious, that she needs to be brave and do what he says so they can get out of the castle and away from the queen.
Yep.
And Rachel's like, I'm afraid of my head being chopped off. And Giller's like, honestly, same. And he's like, you know what? This is all scary, but like, we're going to help a lot of innocent people. Okay, great. I didn't really dislike any of their conversations or anything. It was fine. Rachel was coming across a little less cartoonishly baby-like.
Correct. I agree.
To me, like, I was able, this was palatable how we were approaching it here.
This is something, actually, now that you say that, Terry does this. I feel like as the book series goes on, he always takes a character that is reduced due to like trauma or due to societal pressures or the reality of their situation, and slowly lets them bloom as a human. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I feel like Rachel was very simple before, and like almost like stupidly so, and now she's starting to have thoughts and feelings, and it's a little clunky here, but I think he gets better at it.
Probably, yeah.
But he does use it a lot.
Yeah, I don't hate the theme. I don't like hate the concept. I just think you could start, for my taste, I think we could start the people at a less, well, I don't know about in the future, but for this, I'm like, I don't think she needed to be that simple in the way he did it for there to be an upward trajectory.
It's probably true.
Like, you could be more complexly reduced.
Agreed.
So that's my issue, but whatever. If you're just here for the little journey of the down to up, I could see how it might just work fine for you, but I'm just annoying. So it is what it is. So he tells Rachel she needs to go down to the kitchen, steal a big loaf of bread, and bring it up to the jewel room. We don't need that. It was just for the thumbnail. This isn't actually a good representation of any of this.
We got half a loaf of probably expired gluten-free bread right here that could fit a box or two.
I don't think the loaf is gluten-free that they do this with.
No, because it's so fluffy.
Yeah.
It has so much gluten, clearly.
She has to go get the loaf of bread, bring it up to the jewel room, wait for him there. Okay, so she goes, and on her way down to the kitchen, she sees Princess Violet. Princess Violet calls her over. Rachel's like, hey, I'm on my way to the kitchen. And Princess Violet's like, you don't need to do that, actually. And Rachel, kind of takes a little
page out of G-Man's book.
Yeah, she copies Giller.
Wait a minute.
She's getting a little manipulative these days, in a good way.
In a good way.
And she's like, oh, but like, honestly, they gave you horrible food. I don't want to see you eat that shitty slop again.
But if you want to, I'll come with you now and not do that. And she's like, oh my God, I don't want to eat shitty slop.
Right. I don't want that.
It's so gross.
She says, okay, fine, go tell them that. But you need to come meet me in the jewel room because I need to pick out my jewelry for Dark and Raw's visit tomorrow.
Yes. And
then Rachel's like, okay, but how about you wait until tomorrow when your dress is done to pick out the jewelry because you want to see it with the dress.
I'm just thinking of you.
Which, like, I mean, this is all very crafty and I think believable that, like, a little kid could come up with this level of, like... I think so. Right? I don't know. It didn't feel bad. So I was like, okay. And then Princess Violet agrees. This part I didn't like. Mm-hmm. She agrees with that and then she's like, yes, that would be good to see the jewels with the dress. I'm glad I thought of that. I don't know. It's like dumb. People do this thing. People absolutely do the thing where they will certainly take somebody else's idea and own it as their own and all of these things. But this is just like a stupid way of showing it. That's not how it goes down.
Yeah, if she's telling someone later
absolutely.
I thought I should do this. That's what people do. People don't go in the same sentence. I'm glad I thought of it.
It's like, so dumb. I don't know. I think that's stupid.
Nonsense.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be very funny, actually funny and realistic to have her, like, down the line, like, when Dark and Raw's there, to be like, oh, I did this. Yes, and it's something that Rachel told her. That is what people do. They do not just literally say, you should do this. Yeah, I should do that. I thought of it. It doesn't need to be that freaking on the nose to get the point across. When I read
Princess Violet, it's just a Porky Pig in a dress. Like, that's how he's characterizing
Is Porky Pig a bad man?
No, but in this universe, all fat people are terrible, so...
How is...
Porky Pig's not a bad man. I'm not getting into the Porky Pig discourse with you right now.
I don't know. Is he bad?
No, usually not.
I'm sure so I don't think it's a good example.
He's probably played a... Yeah, I know, because other people in the world believe that fat people can be good.
Why do you...
Because she's a cartoon. And she's fat. That's more so what I'm saying.
Do you smell, like, wood burning?
Yeah, wood be burning. It's not in the house. Where are you looking? We
don't have wood over there.
I
went on fire on
I can see it from here. It's good to go.
That concerned me.
Yeah, I think we'd know. I think Luna would be moving around.
You never know. Okay, I don't think... Whatever. Porky Pig. I don't know. I'm too tired for this.
Yeah.
I'm too sick for all this. They leave off with that, and Rachel's like, oh shit, Giller and Princess Violet are gonna run into each other in the jewelry room. Ah! Okay.
What am I gonna do? Which is weird, because didn't Queen Milena just say, make sure the box is ready to give to Dr. Norrell
Yeah, that
tomorrow?
is true.
So why isn't he just like, I'm gonna go there now and mess around with things?
That's a great question.
Why wasn't he like, all right, Queen, can I have the key to the jewel room?
Okay, Queen.
Okay, Queen.
Okay, Queen, slay. I'll be in the jewelry room. Don't worry about it.
They're both going there, and we cut.
Yeah, so then we go to Kahlan and Richard. They are on the trail, currently doing a little detour. They're overlooking a cliff at a bunch of, like, smoke and vapors
Doing
down
a little
on the
gar
ground.
gazing, actually.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of Gars in the
Short-tailed.
mix. Are those the smart or the
Yeah,
dumb ones?
smart ones.
Oh, this is the smart ones.
That's the problem. They're stronger and smarter and faster. And their flies are meaner.
So Kahlan's like, I've never seen this many Gars all together. Richard's like, what are they burning? And Kahlan's like, they're not burning anything, dumbass. This is the fire spring.
First off, fire spring, awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you, Terry.
I literally was like, okay, I like that idea. Like, there's something about that was kind of cool.
No, I like the idea. I hate the name. Why is it called Fire Spring?
I
Capital F, capital S, Fire Spring? They wouldn't call it, like, Hell's Mouth or something?
No.
They
I
could.
guess I'm, like, getting used to it. I'm like, for him, that's almost something.
Fair.
He didn't just call it, like smoky vents in the ground spot, which,
True.
I was all like, okay.
Smoke and flame zone?
Yeah, fire spring? Okay.
All right.
I'm not hating it.
Here's my problem, right? So right off the bat, I mean, Kahlan's being a bitch, but we know why. We get there as the chapter progresses. She's not being nice. But this lady just never explains anything before you get there.
Yeah.
Never once
Well,
has
okay,
Richard
she wasn't
not walked
even-
into hell.
She wasn't even doing it when she was, like, in a good mood and in love with him. She's
That's
certainly
true.
not going to
No,
do
you're
it
right.
now.
She's the worst guide in the Midlands, so terrible choice picking her. But
Yeah, so there's smoke coming out from vents in the ground. There's water boiling, as well as foul-smelling liquid and thick mud.
it's just like tar pits and sulfur.
Yeah, it
vents
just
and-
sounds gross. Sounds
Yeah,
prehistoric.
it does.
Sounds Land Before Time.
Yeah, and we have one monster in this world, and they're Gars. So there
Yeah.
they are.
So she's like, the vapors keep people away because they're smelly.
Yep.
Usually Gars are not here. And then Richard, I don't know if it was Richard or Kahlan. One of them sees something on a hill way back, and they're like,
Richard does. Of course he does.
Yeah.
Which is weird because he couldn't tell that they weren't burning things, but he can see a round egg-shaped thing on a vent way over yonder. And I wonder what that could be.
He specifically says egg shaped, so he's like, yeah, it's
What the fuck? You couldn't give me any,
probably
like...
an egg.
Like, you couldn't have hidden that a little. It'd just been like, maybe that's the egg. No, it's like egg-shaped thing.
Well,
Shadow thing, egg-shaped thing.
so Richard's like, I want to go look at it. And Kahlan's like, she's being such a bitch. She's like, that's so fucking stupid. You couldn't fight one Gar. You're going to fight 12.
She's right, though.
I mean, yeah, she is right.
So, like, yeah, she's terrible right now, but she's 100% accurate.
That's true.
You can't go near them.
So then Richard also sees a cave over yonder, asks what it is. Kahlan says it's Shadrin's cave.
We got another
Shadrin's
name
cave.
for a location that isn't just cave mouth.
Yeah. But,
Through the mountain cave.
I mean, to be fair, the Shadrin is just a monster, so it's basically just like Monster Cave. It's basically
Yeah.
like saying that's Dragon Cave.
We don't know if the Shadrin exists, though.
We don't know.
We're not really sure. Caitlin's the worst guide ever.
Well, okay, if she doesn't know, she doesn't know. What do you want her to do? What do you want her to do?
Someone should know.
Well, so she's like, okay, the rumor has it the cave goes all the way through the mountain out the other side, but nobody knows for sure because nobody's actually looked. And that the Shadrin is, what should I say? I wish I could.
Shadrin.
The Shadrin
Shadrin.
is supposed to be a beast that lives inside the cave. Richard's like, do you think it's real? Kahlan says,
I have no idea, and I don't care.
yeah, like, I have no clue. But she does say, I've been around the Midlands looking for beasts, and I've found none. Which I was like, oh. Okay, so...
Yeah, but you fucking found old Tom.
yeah, they found that.
Great. What was it? What kind of
A
thing
beast of snarl and snap.
That's not what I meant. What was his name? What was he called?
God, brain doesn't work.
Beast of Starless.
A Beast of Starless.
That's good enough for me.
He was a... Oh my god, what is the name?
I don't know.
No.
Was it chapter 24?
No, don't tell me. I want to think of it. Oh, what the fuck? Calthrop.
Calthrop!
Got it.
You got it. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
Wow. That was in there, huh?
It was, yeah. I didn't throw that out, so...
Another thing that's impressive, though. So Calthrop, when you type it in, no one's come up with anything called a Calthrop. It's the Sword of Truth wiki, first thing. Tamarang, same thing. No one's ever called anything Tamarang before. It's like actually a biopharmaceutical company from Madrid, and
but
that's
like,
it.
Is that impressive? Like, I feel like if I type... Yeah, nobody's called anything Gollum. Nobody's called anything Sauron. Like, I don't know. Type in Aragon. Nobody's done that.
That's one letter off Dragon. I can't believe he got away
And
with this.
yet...
Christopher Paolini is a criminal for that. It's Dragon, and he said, what if the D went down? Well, Aragon.
I kind of like it.
I know, it's sick. He killed it. He was 13. What a beast. Anyway.
Richard's just happy that Kahlan's talking.
Yeah.
In his internal monologue, he's like, she has not been speaking the last couple of
Girl's
days.
been silent. Emo.
So they head back down to the trail towards Tamarang, and there's a fork in the road. Richard assumes they're going to go right because Tamarang is to the east and the Gars were to the left, I guess west. So Kahlan actually starts going to the left, which is the opposite
way you would
way.
expect.
And then Richard says he had to watch her like a hawk since leaving Shoda's. He couldn't trust her anymore. All she wanted to do was die, and he knew she would manage it if he didn't watch her every move. So then she explains it's an inverted fork, which means, you know, you go down the road and at some point in the woods when things are really dense, it actually ends up like looping back the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And Richard's like, that's dumb. Why would they ever design it that way? And you get the sense that Richard just like dead ass does not trust Kahlan right now, anything she says. Like, he's like, are you actually just taking me to the Gars so you get attacked?
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't take it that way. I took it that he was just like, I don't understand road construction. Why would you do it? But no, you're probably right.
Well, it says after he studied her face for a moment, trying to judge if she was telling the truth. So
no, yeah, I just missed it.
I think that sums it up.
Fair enough.
Even before I read that part, I was like, oh, he clearly does not trust this bitch right now.
I read it twice and I missed it, so
well,
I just trust him.
So yeah, she says that they built it that way to confuse invaders from attacking Milena. Again, everybody's after this bitch.
I think she meant historically.
Yeah, I know. But, like, we have the mention of, at the end of the first chapter with her, it was like, oh, the walls of the castle that used to get bombarded by war. And then her, like, being worried about assassins. I don't know, there's just a lot of chat about enemies.
True, you're right.
So... Again, I just want to know who they are.
She'd be chopping heads off.
Historically, currently, what's going on. So, but I do wonder if that's an actual thing. That sounds interesting.
The inverted fork.
Yeah, like for that reason.
Nothing's coming up.
Listen, see. If Terry came up with that, that's pretty impressive.
The only thing I'm seeing for inverted forks is BMX bikes. So.
Okay, well, either
he might have come up with it, unless it's
Terry read about that like in a history book somewhere, and that's pretty cool. Or I came up with it. It's also kind of cool. Richard decides to just go with it because I guess what other choice does he have? And she was not lying. That, in fact, is how the road worked. I liked some of the way that Terry like described the dynamic Richard and Kahlan had going on right now.
Yeah.
It says she had reduced herself to a prisoner on a forced march, had reduced him to a reluctant jailer. I liked that. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I can't think of like any specific examples of like this. And it is true. Like if you were Richard in this position, it's really a difficult spot to be in.
It's dark. It's tragic.
Yeah.
But I was trying to come up with a metaphor for the inverted fork.
Okay.
Because I thought it was interesting, and I think it kind of relates directly to the situation at hand, which we'll get into more when they talk about it with Shoda's prophecy.
That is what it is probably relating to, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going the way that you assume it must go will lead you to back to Fire Springs and the Gar.
Yeah, it is definitely something to do with that, where it's like, and it's the same metaphor in the inverse of like, you think you're picking the one that's going the wrong way, but then it actually flips back around and you're in the right spot.
And another thing about that is this concept of, we'll get into it more at the end of the chapter when they have their second bit, but Richard deciding to let her go.
Yeah.
Is actually, weirdly enough, probably going to be the right thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. I thought that too.
And that's...
I do kind of like that, like, theme that keeps coming up.
Yes.
And Richard says something specific I wrote down that I liked referencing it. If you, like, overthink too much, like, oh, well, it seems like this is going to happen and that seems bad, or this or this or that. Like, you don't actually know. You actually just have to, like, do things and then deal with it.
Yeah.
I do like it. Like, when I'm reading those parts, I'm always like,
I think it's funny, but I think Terry, through his nature writing and clearly love of the woods and trails, he inadvertently developed, and maybe somewhat intentionally developed, these metaphors for the mind.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's kind of fascinating that he tells these stories, a lot of which involve traveling through the wilderness, not being able to see where the sun went, like going on your intuition and then not trusting yourself too much and listening to the people around you.
But then also not listening to them too much. I don't know. It is a little confusing.
It's confusing, but so are our brains. And I think he kind of does weirdly and maybe accidentally infuse that very well into his woodwork.
Mm. Yeah, sometimes he'd be popping up with some stuff. I'm like,
it's pretty good.
All right, that's a good point.
Good.
That's a good point. Yeah, like I wish I could, like, it's not how life works. So it's like I wish I could mold Terry to be like this. Just keep going down those paths, because I think without the distraction of the other paths that, in my opinion, are not all that fruitful or like coming across as
I agree.
particularly insightful. It's just a distraction away from these paths that he goes down that actually are like, oh, you're actually onto something.
Yeah.
And it's hard because, like, you know, maybe for other people, those paths do something.
Need to be traveled. And you know, that is what it is. Yeah,
but this is like, again, this sort of theme. I'm like, that's the one that, at least at this point in my life, I'm fucking with.
I think had Terry, at this stage on his first book, had a much more severe editor that he trusted, I think the series could have had a totally different trajectory.
Yeah.
And maybe, in my opinion, a better, like, message.
I know,
even for himself. I think he kind of muddles what he's trying to do sometimes.
So Richard kind of is just thinking in his mind about how at night he literally has to, like, tie Kahlan's hands and feet up to make sure she doesn't, like, run away or kill herself. And she just endures it limply. So, like, yeah, you do get this really good... I feel like I had a really good sense of, like, Kahlan's countenance.
Oh, yeah.
Throughout all of this. Like, I could really picture how, like, just, like, dead behind the eyes she is. Her body language.
Yeah.
And, like, where her... like, what level of, like, intense depression she is in at this point.
I agree. When he nails Kahlan or Richard, he really...
I know,
he nails, like, something true about people.
I agree.
And then sometimes he makes them act like they're, like, obstinate 14-year-olds, and it's kind of confusing. But this is just, like, yeah, you know this feeling.
I find it interesting to watch Kahlan hit this level of despondence in the face of the threat. Because, yeah, I do think that's kind of a unusual take on the hero arc.
Yeah, definitely.
Although, like, I guess, like, Sam and Frodo be doing that. But, like, I don't know, it's just, it's different.
It's totally different, yeah.
It feels very different.
Sam's pulling Frodo along willingly and unwillingly, but, like, that's because the task itself is so hard. She wants to quit the task and he won't let her, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't think of anything similar to this, and I thought it was an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, so maybe, I don't know, maybe it is kind of unique.
Right?
It's kind of a unique scenario.
What I will say... I don't feel like Richard tying her up here or later on. I was like, this actually doesn't have a sexual BDSM-y vibe to it, which I'm just using as proof that I don't think every time Terry does it, it has that energy.
Oh, no, I agree.
It's just the times that it has that energy You feel me?
Yes, definitely.
Right? Because, like, I did not think that at all.
No.
Even with his entire, like...
I know.
Like,
the arcs
backlog
that he goes on
of us being like, oh, he does this. I still didn't even think of it
Yeah.
I did just because I was like, oh, this is something we keep like goofing on it for. But I was like, I actually don't think that at all. It's not giving me that energy as opposed to her covered in snakes where I was getting that energy.
Yes.
So I'm just saying.
No, I hear you. And
I don't think I'm.
I think it's fair and right of you.
Did you agree? Like,
yes,
it didn't give that to me at all.
No, it did deal with power dynamics, obviously.
Of course. But not
and
really.
I thought that was interesting. But no, it's because Richard is very unwilling and undesirous of the situation. He does not want to be doing this like this at all. He just has to.
Yeah, right.
And it's his lack of, he's getting zero pleasure from this.
Right, we're like Shota.
You kind of like, she's being a little...
Yeah, for sure. I just think that it's interesting to me when I read certain things and I go like, no, I don't think that had any psychosexual things going on, where then other things I'm like, that did. I can't really put my finger on what it is.
Yeah.
It's just,
the more flavors of it we see and discuss, I think we'll get a better...
You know it when you see it.
You know it when you see it. That's for sure.
Which...
Bringing up the CIA hearings on pornobaphy or something.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the CIA.
The Supreme Court discussion on what...
Correct. What was obscenity? It was obscenity laws.
Obscenity laws.
And they said, how...
Is Richard tying Kahlan up to keep her from killing herself obscene? And you're like, no, you can just tell.
No, you could tell, when you see it, that wasn't it.
And
but
like, what about Dark and Raw cutting up?
What about Kahlan having the snakes in her boobs? Hey, you know when you see it, that was it.
What was that snake doing in her shirt? Jesus.
Arrest him.
Arrest that snake. How would you arrest a snake? Tied in a bow?
I meant for the obscenity laws, not the snake.
You just like tie it up. And it's like, I can't.
Arrest him. Your mind went to the snake.
I went right to the snake.
Okay.
Little freak.
So.
Although I do want to have a little thing. So it's not sexual. I'm agreeing with you there. But it's interesting because Richard is trying everything he can right now.
Yeah.
Tying her up is not sexual, but a type of dominating her. He's maintaining control over her. Mm-hmm. And then also he lays himself down at her feet. When they sleep.
That's interesting.
So that if anything happens because she's defenseless, he can defend her. So he's trying every which way of giving her power, taking power away.
He's trying to find the perfect combination.
And there isn't one right here.
No, not really.
Because if she wants this thing more than he is able to give, he can't give. It's what he says at the end of the chapter, that he can win over and over again. Yeah. But she just needs to win once and he loses forever.
I know. Yeah, I was like, that is intense.
It's intense.
And I liked the way Terry wrote that.
He did a good job.
What was going on
25% of this chapter, you 32? Nailed it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That day, he woke up early. He got his coffee. He's like...
Maybe it's the Gars. Maybe he was like, ooh, the sulfur, the Gars, I got this. We got fire pits, Gars, the human depression. Man.
Something...
He was cooking that day.
He really was. Let him cook.
Let him cook. And Rachel just got out of the kitchens.
Not yet.
You like that?
Not yet.
Oh, come on. That's pretty good.
Not yet.
All right. All right. There's more to discuss.
He tries to get her to eat dried fish.
Oh, yeah.
She hasn't been eating. She's like, no. And then he's like, come on, do it for me. And she says, what are you going to do next? Hold me down and force it in my mouth? And then he says, if I have to. Which, again, should maybe.
Should.
I'm not getting that. And we...
No, and the most painful part is that he keeps trying to have this smile up and keep trying to get her to join him in this levity, and she won't do it. No. And it's killing him.
Yeah, because we kind of discussed it in a lot of the earlier chapters that I was like, I wonder if some part of the flirtation between them was sort of this attempt of something so dark that they're dealing with to be like, I need something to keep me going that feels nice and light and fun.
Fair, yeah.
And I think it was providing that for them. And now Richard getting that taken away is like, all right. I could barely do it even with that. But true. If you take it away. I mean, but my man is going to do it. He's not really letting it deter him.
No.
The whole thing. Then... Richard comments on the fact that a creature is following them in the woods, and it has big yellow eyes, but it's not Samuel because the eyes are a different color.
God, just pick orange. Pick any other color.
Yeah, I know. I was like, why
would you immediately evoke Samuel and then have to explain that it's not Samuel?
Exactly. I just was like, this to me is like the editing stuff, like an editor. I'm like, if I were an editor, I would be like, my dude, you just did this. You can't, first of all, I don't think you should do any weird creature tracking you in the woods. Again, is boring. We already did it. Second of all, if fine, you have to do it. Just you need to make them visually different. Why not? Why does it need to have... Why did they both need to have yellow eyes? Why, even if this thing must have yellow eyes, then why the fuck did Samuel need yellow eyes? He didn't. He could have had any color eyes at all.
Well, this guy might have had yellowish eyes, so that's why.
I just don't think that...
I
think it's really boring to be like, okay,
so
we just did that.
It's
why
so
are we
dumb.
doing it again?
I don't know.
So anyway, don't care.
Something's coming.
Quite frankly.
And Richard talks about how he's not letting it know that he knows, but he knows.
The thing is smart, whatever it is.
Cool.
I don't care. I can't get invested again. We already did it. And it didn't pan out well for me last time.
Maybe it's the caltrop coming back.
It's not.
Maybe it's old Sean coming for a reunion. It's not.
So, okay, now we're back to Rachel and Giller. Rachel's waiting in the jewel room. Giller comes in before Princess Violet. He asks for the bread. Rachel, in fact, does have a big loaf of bread. And she tells him, hey, Princess Violet is coming soon.
He's like, fuck!
Kinda, yeah.
Screaming, just fuck! Throwing things. Not really, but...
Giller grabs the box.
Yep.
And Rachel's like, you can't touch that. It's the Queen's. So Giller has a duplicate box. It looks exactly the same as the other box of Orden. He shows it to Rachel. He explains that the box of Orden, the real one, is magic and it belongs to someone else. Which I was like, technically, who's the owner?
I don't know if it works like that. I don't know.
Because he keeps implying that like there is a specific someone.
And I can't explain that to you. Yeah.
Who is it?
It's probably Zed. I don't know.
Think
we're
so.
not. You think we're getting a new person?
We know for a fact we're getting new people. So why not?
Well, they don't own boxes.
No, I'm just saying, why not? The Queen is a bad person. She has too much power.
Yep.
And that she has the box and wants the box because it gives her more power, which I thought was interesting. Do we know that? Did we know that it was doing that to her?
No, I think he's literally saying as a
bargaining chip with Dark and Raw.
Gives her, yes. So Dark and Raw protects her country and punishes others because she's going to give him this box.
You should fan mail us and tell us
if the box of Orden is
passively buffing. I took it like she is getting extra like magic power right now.
I don't think Queen Milena is chopping off heads herself with her
what does that matter?
Bedewed power strikes.
I thought maybe it could be like giving her an influence boost or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. It just that's how it came across to me. Let me know.
But a trick is the fondest form of magic, so
what is that? How is that relevant?
It's just not. I don't know.
Why'd you say it?
If Queen Melina told her whole nation that they lost their dicks, do you think it would work?
With this power boost? Absolutely.
The box boost?
Yes, then they would think
shit.
that. And then they'd have a birth crisis, a fertility crisis.
Whoa.
Because
no peasants are being born. Who's going to work the fields?
Exactly.
Holy hell. No fires at least getting lit.
So that's why she didn't do it. But honestly, if you were an enemy who wanted to take her out, which it sounds like there's many of them, they should try that. They should influence her people, her nation, to think they don't have dicks, to plummet the birth rate and make sure she has no workers.
Interesting.
Right. So Giller is kind of like trying in child language to explain this whole situation to Rachel. There's a man even meaner than the Queen. It's Dark and Raw.
Facts.
He's basically like, the princess and the queen pretend to be nice, but actually they're not nice. Dark and Raw is just like that. He laughs when he kills people. Whatever.
Oh, man.
I wasn't like particularly impressed by any of this, but I also wasn't upset by it. I was like, okay, I guess a kid might understand.
This kid still sort of seems confused that getting your head chopped off and dying are
not the same thing.
I don't know. But she
gets
gets there eventually.
Whatever. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But he's like, when Dark and Raw comes, if you do talk to him, you got to be nice to him. So.
And just let him pretend to be nice to you.
Yeah.
And don't tell him that you know that he's not.
So Rachel says they can't let Dark and Roll have the box. It's going to kill a lot of people. So Giller takes out his big loaf of bread, and he's like taking the innards. You know, it's like a scooped bagel.
Yeah, he's bread bowling it, like.
And they're eating it. It kind of made me want to eat bread.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
And
I got some. Yeah.
I don't want that bread. And they put the real box of Orden inside of the bread and then reattach it, and he does some magic so it like just looks like a normal loaf of bread. And he says that he's put a wizard web on the bread so nobody can sense that there's magic inside. Okay, because I did think that. I was like, but I was like, aren't they going to be able to tell that the fake box of Orden does not have a magical trace?
Unless he gave it a magical trace of the real box of Orden.
Can he do that?
You could do it in D&D with the same spell, so...
Okay, maybe you can do that.
Wizard's webs seem to be able to do whatever the hell you want, just like Wizard's powder seems to be able to do whatever the hell you want. Is it an ice spell? Is it making dogs sneeze?
Did you think the bread thing was clever or weird? I was like right in the middle.
I was neutral on it, but I did think that it was symbolic of
Christ.
them. Well, shit, kind of.
Not what
I don't know. Well, they're both coming together and breaking bread over this plan, like, and they're kind of like communing.
It's very humble.
Well, it's humble, and it's also it's like a it's
them
almost like
eating
a fae,
it.
promise, you know, like a
okay. I like that.
You know, but it's also like you could just insert things like that when they don't fit, which this kind of feels like too.
Yeah, kind of.
Go get a big loaf of bread and stick the magical artifact.
Well, I'm just
in
like, it seems like
you
could hypothetically hide it in like literally anything.
Why didn't you just put it in your robes and then walk downstairs and wizard's web over, I don't know, a pumpkin and just be like done?
Well, it just seems like it could be technically any item.
No one else in the castle can sense magic, right?
To find the most innocuous.
Yeah, but you put a loaf of bread in a flower pot, the squirrels are going to come get that thing.
Maybe
you know what I mean?
The wizard's web will take care of that. Also, the flower pot has a wizard's web on it as well.
Does it?
Yes, from when he put...
So no one can see what's sitting in there except for the perfectly intentioned. Look at that. Wizard's webs.
Done.
What wizard's webs they weave.
Is that the title?
Shit.
So he tells her he's going to leave the bread in the same flower pot that he had the doll in, and Rachel needs to figure out a way to leave the castle tonight. That's important because DR is going to be here tomorrow, and she needs to take the bread away.
I don't know. It's a weird plan.
It's kind of a weird plan,
He's
but
it's
okay.
Take it, run, hide in your tree. If I don't come by tomorrow, just hang out till winter in your tree.
Which, like, is that reasonable? Will she be able to do that?
I guess his hope is that she is so innocuous and so nobody that no one's going to think she has the box. So she might just be able to make it for a month outside.
But then I thought it was interesting because, like, he was like, take it and stay in your tree. I'll come get you so we can leave. But then they were also kind of, like, planning how she was going to act with Dark and Rawl tomorrow. So I'm like, is she coming back to the castle or is she just staying out there?
This is Terry just telling you everything you need to know, which is that she probably won't get out of the castle and will meet Dark and Rawl. Yeah,
I was just like, if the plan is for her to get out of the castle and stay there and then they're going to run away within the week, she's never meeting Dark and Rawl.
He, like, actually is his own plot, like, constantly, where, like, he'll give you information that you would only need if it went a certain way.
Right.
And therefore you know it will go that way. Like, if he tells you something, it will matter one for one later on. She is going to meet Dark and Rawl, and she will have to pretend he's a nice guy because Giller said it.
Here's where I had some issues.
Okay, give it to me.
Did you not have issues?
At this point, I don't think so, but I'm sure I will when you say it.
Okay. Well, I had issues with it as my dislike of his inability to stop copying Lord of the Rings. I had a problem here with this whole conversation.
And it's not the queen calling her dog my precious? Because that did happen.
Definitely not.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay.
What was the Lord of the Rings copy?
Okay, the first half I like, okay? So it's Giller talking to Rachel. Rachel, listen to me. If you live to be 100 years old, you will never again do anything as important as this. You must be brave, braver than you have ever been before. You must not trust anyone. You must not let anyone get the box. If I knew anyone else to help you, I would get them to do it, but I don't. You are the only one who can do this. Right there, I was like, okay, it's a nice little speech to the child. I was like, okay, I kind of liked that. That was like, oh, if I was a little kid, that's inspiring. And I thought it was interesting to be like, oh, it's so hard to be like this man in this position where you are just like trying to get this child to be the person who like makes this work.
Carries the weight of the world.
Right, but we're already starting to get, Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Rachel replies,
oh no.
I'm just little. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a weird thing. I don't know that a child would say that. But
Kids don't say that.
Maybe.
Something like that.
But we're already going in a weird, that is why you will be safe. Everybody thinks you are a nobody, but that isn't true. You are the most important person in the world, and you can trick them because they don't know. I just think the entire theme is the theme of Lord of the Rings, right? Am I wrong? The theme of this whole dynamic going on here.
Yeah, it's literally the Fellowship. It's just the same. It's the same concept.
It's just Frodo.
You carry
being
the fate
like,
of us all, little one. No one will expect you because hobbits are.
You can be strong even though you're a small little hobbit. Don't you worry about it. I'm just a little hobbit. That's exactly why you'll succeed. I mean, I'm like.
That happened. We did that already.
I don't know. Come on. It's the same. It's exactly the same.
Yeah. I can't defend that at all.
I just think I'm already on alert. I'm on high alert for BDSM. I'm on high alert for Lord of the Rings parallels. That stuck out to me.
Yeah. And that's two full circles because those Venn diagrams don't touch. You know what I mean? There was no BDSM in Lord of the Rings. So you just got two full circle searchlights going through this book being like...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just annoyed me. I was just like, it's like just like a bad attempt. I don't know. To me, it's the same. It's fucking identical. I don't believe that this is a...
No, it's definitely...
coincidence?
It's the same thing.
So anyway...
And the wizard sends the little person out on the journey.
Hello?
And then probably isn't going to meet her there because he's being detained.
Whatever. I just don't like...
And the tree is called Bree? No.
It's too on the nose. Don't like it. Anyway... and then he says that he's been a very foolish man. He lost sight of his true duty and the reason he became a wizard. So yeah, we just sort of have this implication that Giller must have done something, made choices that were poor or bad in some way. Well, I would like to know what he did and why he did it.
I hope it's not as simple as just joining up with Queen Melina instead of killing himself to send Kahlan across the boundary, but...
It might be.
It might be.
Yeah, but honestly, thank the fucking Lord he didn't.
Yeah, because who else could send Frodo and Rachel on her journey?
Exactly. So then Giller puts his fingers on the side of Rachel's head, and he's like, zzz, and she's like feeling brave.
Yeah.
Give me some of that. Give me some of that.
You got this. Throw a little dust on it for good measure. Oh no, wrong dust. Oh no.
Princess Violet comes in the room. I don't really understand what goes on. I don't know. Giller, like, she comes in and Giller's like, shh, like slides behind her so she doesn't see him. I don't know. And then Rachel...
I'm assuming it's magic. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. Rachel's nervous because she like notices a piece of bread on the floor. And then Giller like quietly picks it up and then leaves the room. And the princess doesn't notice. Okay.
And she does come in and slap her immediately. We gotta put it in.
Oh, guys. I don't know. So, back to Richard and Kahlan. They're, like, set up, campfire for the night. They're getting to bed.
Time to tie her up.
Richard's tying her up. He's feeling exasperated. He says, I can't do this anymore, Kahlan. You may be the one who wishes to die, but it is me you are killing, which is kind of true.
It is true.
She says, fine, I mean, okay, but also just let me go, because the only reason you have to do all this is because you're keeping me here.
Yep.
It is an interesting dilemma, because you are like, it makes sense that he's like, no, you need to stay with me. I obviously don't want you to kill yourself. I also need your help. But then you are also like, is it immoral to have this man, just like constantly tying you? I guess as a society though, we like do kind of do that to people when they're suicidal, right? We're like, nah.
We do. That's true.
So, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not judging Richard at all for approaching it this way. But I was like, oh, it's like an interesting moral dilemma. So you're like, should he let her go?
Her opinion
is he kind of creating the environment by forcing her to stay? Obviously, I'm not like pro Kahlan being
going
in this state,
dying,
but...
Yeah, but then Richard decides, I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to hit you with every verbal assault in the arsenal.
Richard goes really
as he should.
Hard.
He's right to go hard here. Because he's really tired, and the fate of the world's on his shoulders.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm pro Richard hitting her with all this, but maybe. You could certainly make the argument. So he says, you win, get out of here, get out of my sight, go back and let the Gars do the job. You may botch it with that knife. I'd hate to think you slipped and didn't finish it properly. I'd hate to think that after all of this, you may not be dead, which I was already like, whoa.
Yeah.
Harsh.
Make sure you finish the job. Like, wow, Richard.
I do think, yeah, it is like, which is kind of the point. I think it is sort of irritating because Kahlan, the second he's like, finally, like, yeah, go do it, she does that thing where people are like, oh, but...
But don't be mad at me for it.
Yeah, and it's like...
Well, in the same way that he can't force her forever to comply and come with him and not feel the way that she's feeling. She can't control his anger at her for doing it. And that sometimes is, I guess, the relationship that sort of action or feeling might create, you know?
So she says, after all we've been through, I don't want it to be finished like this. He says, I don't care what you want. You forfeited that right.
And he's right.
Get out of my sight.
He's allowed to feel that way.
You forfeit your right to my heart. You
forfeit
your place in our bed. You'll sleep in your office instead. I hope that you burn.
Sorry,
oh my God, honestly?
What?
Richard right now.
Yeah, literally in Fire Springs.
I'll watch you burn.
Yeah, I know. You forfeit your life to the Gars.
Where's the Terry Hamill stands at?
The crossover is no percent. 0.01%.
I don't know. There might be a couple.
Richard Cypher Rawlington.
Rawlington?
Yeah, Rawlington.
How does a bastard orphan?
Oh, wait. He is a bastard orphan. Son of a whore. He literally is.
Oh my God.
Dropped in the love and forgotten spot in the Westlands.
In the Westlands.
Yo, are we doing this?
I don't know if he's living in squalor.
Compared to the People's Palace of Dahar.
Enough to be a hero and a scholar. Wow, the Hamilton parallels. Kahlan says, when this is all ended, I hope you could think of me well. Remember me more fondly than you do right now, which really gets Richard fucking worked up.
Richard says, I will only remember you for what you are, a traitor. A traitor to all those who have died, to all those who will die. A traitor to all the wizards who gave their lives. To Shar? And all the mud people who were killed. A traitor to your sister. Yo, a traitor to all those and more. If I fail and Dark and Raw wins, we will all have you to thank, and so will Dark and Raw. It is you who aids him.
That's rough.
Yeah, Richard frequently goes off the deep end. And I don't know, is he wrong for doing it? I understand his position.
I don't know. I feel conflicted. I don't think he's wrong. I could see the other side of being like, damn, you have like really high expectations for this lady.
Everyone has really high expectations of him. So he's saying, we're at the end of the world, do your job.
I know, but...
And she's saying, my job would be better served by killing myself. And he's saying, you don't know that, you're just assuming that.
Right, so here's the thing.
So...
I get a little irritated. So Richard, at this point, gives a very good logical explanation for why Kahlan should stick around.
Yes.
And we were once again doing the thing where, like, it feels like Richard is angry at her at the level as if she should have known this. And they clearly have not spoken about it. It's just like Shoto, where I'm like, Richard, but what if before you freaked out and she went into this depressive episode, you guys had discussed this before? Don't you think she could have potentially just been like, oh, interesting, I will consider that? I'll explain. So Kahlan's like, I'm trying to kill myself because of what Shota said. Richard's like, okay, but here's the thing. She said, you and Zed are going to attack me.
Mm-hmm.
And for all we know, it's actually me who's going to fuck up. So, like, I might be the one who either is going to open the wrong box or, like, whatever it is. And you guys are trying to stop me to actually help save the world. And that actually makes more sense that it would be me, because what are the chances of two people going bad versus one and then two people trying to stop? This is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, it's a logical thought.
But I'm struggling to think that if they had not began with that thought early on, that Kahlan could not have come around to it. That doesn't feel right to me. It feels right for her to be at this level of depressed and wanting to do this. If she genuinely is like, I can't think of any alternative, the only option I can imagine is that I'm being horrible.
Yeah.
But when given this, which makes perfect sense, I don't know why she would keep on this trail.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And then I'm like, maybe she's doing it because she just got so far in at this point. But again, it feels like Richard's freaking out at her. Like, obviously, this could be the thing. And it's like, okay, but why wouldn't you have just communicated that, like, days ago?
Yeah.
And been like, hey, Kahlan, you're really depressed, but here's what I'm thinking it might be, so that's why I need you to stay with me.
He's too angry. Like, Richard with the temper for real. He's mad that she is not, like, seeing reason, is not working with him, is depressed.
I mean, okay, I get that once you've explained it if she's not seeing reason, but it seems like this is the first time he's explained it in this way.
These two don't talk until it is the penultimate moment.
But I do find this, again, this whole thing that the way Terry writes these problems doesn't make sense to me. I'm just like, why are we always getting everybody fucking worked up?
And then only discussing the truth at a very extreme moment.
Yeah, and it's like...
I think there's something to that, probably. It's kind of how real people act a lot.
I don't think that's true.
I think that people will almost do anything besides speak the truth sometimes. And then it only really comes out in these big fights. I think that's the implication.
Not something like this, where it's a very, like...
Yeah.
It's a prophecy that we are trying to figure out practically how to approach.
Yes.
Like, that is very, like...
No, you're right. You're right.
You would talk about
End
it.
of the world's involved. Just talk. Communicate.
I get it in the context of, like, I don't know, emotions on this, like, lower scale. But, like, I don't really get it for something like this that feels very... something you need to reason out, right?
You're right.
And then, honestly... him saying it and her, it doesn't really make sense. They don't have an argument here where she's like, I don't think that's true because of this, or like she doesn't respond to it, and it doesn't seem to change anything. And I don't know. I think we're supposed to just be like, Kahlan is in such a depression that she can't consider it. But I do think somebody in this position would be like, oh my God.
I think it's twofold, though. I think it's that Kahlan is so guilty about almost having done it already.
She does need to deal with that.
That she's just like, I don't trust me. You don't understand what you're talking about.
Fair,
I have this power. It kills people. And I think the biggest thing is that the crux of this is he's saying, well, what if I need to be stopped? And you two need to do it.
Right.
And she's saying, I'm not willing to do that to you.
Yeah, she's got to...
Even though she kind of really was ready and willing to do that to him
for like, literally no good reason.
Like
I'm just
one
saying.
cum. Like one quick cum, you know?
She needs to just get horny and she'll be ready to do it.
That's what I'm saying. And what better place than the People's Palace of Dahara?
Just elicits so much lust.
Yeah, it's just a freaky deaky place.
I don't know. I just feel like I want to think it would be almost difficult. I'm trying to listen. I'm a person, I could see myself in Kahlan's position here of feeling trapped and like being like whatever. I do think that would immediately kind of like spark a like, okay, wait, shit, you know?
Of course.
I don't know.
She's too wrapped up. Well, I'm sure she's gonna come back around.
Yeah.
I don't think we lose Kahlan here in book 1.
No. You are the thread that weaves this struggle together. She says to Richard, like, I gotta KMS because I gotta get out of the picture so I don't accidentally kill you. Which, again, though, I guess I'm like, that's not responding to the option he just gave.
Nope, not at all.
Okay. And then he's like, a thread can't get there without a needle. You're my needle.
Cool metaphor, bro.
Like, I wouldn't have figured out the path. I don't know how to get to the queen. I might accidentally just hand this box right on over to Dark and Raw. You know everything about the Midlands.
And he is right about these things. Yeah.
Shota said, you're the only one with a chance. Without you, all is lost. Not me, not Hermione.
No.
He said that if I live, whatever, I'm going to kill you. I can't allow that. I won't. He made a good point. I just felt...
It was a solid point. I have no counter, even.
That's what I mean. There's no counter. You're like, oh, that's
And the way these witch women's puzzles be going, I still don't know what the Nightstone one meant.
Not a clue. Not a
when you're drowning underwater with the dead, watch out.
He says, you're a traitor to us. She says, I do this for you. Then Richard screams and throws her back on the ground, and he stands above her and says, don't you dare say that. You do this for yourself because you haven't got the stomach for what victory entails. Don't you dare say you do this for me. Do you think that's true?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You think she just was like, this is all too fucking much. I'm out?
No. Well, it's hard. I think that Richard's saying, you might need to kill me, which is rich.
Gotcha.
Which is rich. Because he just said he wouldn't kill her in Shota's den 2 chapters ago.
That's true, and he didn't.
And he wouldn't, and she wouldn't.
But to be fair, he just wasn't convinced enough by the prophecy, I think.
But he point blank asked her, if you had to kill her for this to work, would you do it? He was like, I wouldn't want to.
I don't know, but in the moment when, like... if they were actually standing there like with the box and he knew he had to kill Kahlan or it was going off, I think he might.
He wouldn't do it. He would never do it.
I think he might.
That's the one thing I don't think he'd do.
At this point, maybe later in the series he wouldn't, but I don't know. I'm like, maybe he would. I do think he really was like, I'm not doing it based off of this bullshit.
Which is fair. Because
right.
It clearly was some bullshit.
He was right to do it.
Yeah, he was definitely right.
I don't know. That was like the sense I got that of course he's like, I really don't want to all around, but I think that.
But yeah.
Doubly so, where he was like, I don't know if I trust you.
He's saying, she might be right. You might have to touch me, but that might be what we need to do. If you leave, I don't even get there. If I get there and I need to die, you have to do it.
Yeah, no, he's totally making the correct argument.
But Shota did make it kind of sound like you doing it will mess everything up. So it's hard. I get why Kahlan's like, you're just thinking of it in a way that you want to be true.
No, it's pretty convincing.
It's convincing, but it's also like...
It's pretty convincing.
But the witch woman who's renowned and respected as being so prophetic and powerful is saying, Kahlan should die if this is going to go off. And if she doesn't, you're going to fail. Because she will touch you.
I don't know, but did she say that? I don't know that she said you will fail.
Why is she trying to kill her then?
I guess we're supposed to think she's being stupid. Because she just thinks...
Of course.
Kahlan killing Richard must mean it will fail, but I don't think she actually knows that part. But
Yeah,
I do think that assuming Shota, who is the ancient witch woman of prophecy, could not be able to figure out a logical leap like this is dumb. Because now you're just underpowering your own creation.
But one tiny woods boy came up with it all on his own in about a day and a half outside
I think
your
Shota
reach.
would be able to estimate that maybe, just maybe
that has to happen. Right. Maybe it's a good thing that it happens. And it is, boys.
Richard says, you're letting yourself die for a stupid riddle, which I thought was kind of funny because, like, my man hates them. And he's kind of right.
Now he's got a right to hate them.
Yeah.
Now they're on the chopping block.
I said, we can't know how the future will come about, not until it happens. Only then can we know what it means and deal with it. I like the messaging of that.
No
I
fate
like
but what we make.
Like, let's get there. And then if in fact that is the case, well, fucking kill yourself then.
Yeah.
Don't do it beforehand because we're not in the moment. It's about like being in the moment.
For sure.
Which I like. But yeah, I don't know. He's implying that Kahlan's trying to dip out of this just because she like doesn't want to deal with all the responsibility and the nastiness and the bad shit she's going to have to do to save the world.
Which has been a theme.
Maybe that's true.
She didn't want to eat the jerky.
That's true, actually.
Kahlan don't want to get her...
Yeah, she's being a little a little priss sometimes. She wouldn't let Richard fuck a girl
For the end of the world.
to save the end of the world. Yeah. She's literally dying is easy, young man. Living is harder.
Oh, yo, Lynn, did you read this book?
Literally.
Lin-Manuel Miranda said,
She's doing it.
I think Hamilton could be described as the seeker of truth.
What about the Reynolds pamphlet? Actually, that was
That's
him
the
being
mud people.
truthful.
Yeah, true. Exactly. There you go. He published it.
So true.
So true.
But yeah, kind of. It's like the theme of being like, she's like, we've actually have commented on this. We've been like, Kahlan seems totally unwilling to do all of these things, but she is constantly being like, well, I'll fucking die. I'll jump in front of you and die. And we're like, why do you keep doing that and not all this other stuff?
Because she's a sad, depressed emo girl who was put into a terrible situation.
Jesus.
And she's like, I'd rather... Can I, like, die so I don't have to be the one that has to do the hardest
I'm
thing?
willing to do that, though.
I will die.
I'll do that. But I don't want to, like, talk to you, and I, like, definitely don't want you to have sex with people. I don't, like, want to eat that, and I don't want to...
That's pretty gross. Come on.
Ugh, so annoying.
Like, I said I would die, but I'm not going to, like, eat human jerky.
I think when you hear somebody say, I would die for this, you're like, oh, they'll do... Anything. But that's actually not true. She's like, no, I will
Dying's
literally...
pretty low on the list
I'll
of
die
things.
for it. I didn't say I'll do any of that shit.
And say I'd eat, human jerky.
So she won't do anything.
Except die.
But she will die. And we're at the very end of that here.
This is the precipice of him being like, make that decision.
Yeah, that's interesting. That actually has been a through line.
It has.
And I was like, why is she being this way? Like, just do these other things. She's committed
to, instead of taking the action, taking the leap, doing the thing, the things required of you, you will instead bow to death.
Yeah, and Richard's like,
go ahead then.
Fuck you.
Yeah, you're a coward for that, and here's your knife. Go ahead, show me.
She says, I have sworn to protect the seeker with my life. The payment has come due, and then she leaves. And you're like, that really was the only thing she promised, and she fucking meant it. That was the only thing I'll do.
Very Shakespearean, too.
Yeah.
And the promise has come due. Exit stage left.
And then
Prospero.
Richard gets on the ground and he cries. Which is
He felt
totally
a
fair.
plug inside of him had been pulled and his self was draining away.
Yeah, that's nice. Good job.
Poetic.
Yeah, so I mean, other than like, didn't like the Lord of the Rings thing, a couple of just like little minor things. That's fine.
Fat
That's
princess,
fair.
annoying queen.
Otherwise, that was a pretty good chapter.
Solid chat.
All right, so shout out.
Let's do it.
I mean, I'm giving you a little. We already kind of shouted out our fan mail friend, which tell us your name. Fan mail us again, and tell us your name.
Right now you're Atlanta G.
He's not in Atlanta.
You said
but
Georgia,
I'm not
right?
trying to dox him.
Oh, okay.
There are places in Georgia that are not Atlanta.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not trying to.
I see.
Call out his hometown.
I thought you were just saying he's not from Atlanta, just cause.
No,
He's from a town
somewhere else.
Okay, so
tell us your name. But shout out to you for using the fan mail feature. Everybody else, let's go. Send it. Okay, shout out of the day. Our newest active fan, because I mean maybe there's some other people, but you guys aren't saying anything. Who I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
On YouTube in the comment section, Bastillo. I need to give a shout out because she has like speed run.
Listen to
every episode. I don't know how quick this was. You need to tell me how fast you went
caught up
through.
already?
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
100% caught up. And I mean, like, this is hours.
Hours?
Of
what,
content.
Was it 2 hours every other week? Yeah, it's an hour a week.
So
episode 35. It's 35 hours.
At least, right?
Yeah. That's Lord of the Rings 3 times.
Wow. So we're honored that, number one, you found us. Number two, you are as into this as you are. Number three, that you found it entertaining enough to actually watch that much of it that quickly.
Please,
is the best.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
That makes us feel great. We love
We're
that.
so happy that you found us because, listen, I love people giving opinions and chatting it up.
It's the best part.
I love all of you silent watchers and listeners too. But
yeah.
I get a little extra excited when somebody's actually
it's peak.
Really in it with us. So also somebody who is, I think, a similarly lukewarm relationship.
They seem to be the loudest.
with the series. Yeah, I guess you have the most to say, right? Because if you just like something, it's like, it's good. It's good. If you think it's horrible, you probably won't watch it at all. So we're getting, you know, everybody who's like, I like a little bit of it, I don't like a little bit of it.
That's why we're
honestly,
here.
The best way to be. Nuanced. Complex. That's you.
Wow.
But thank you so much for watching.
Flavor profile. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, umami.
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 Mommy.
Right.
All right.
So, thank you for coming. I'm so glad the YouTube algorithm actually did something right for once.
Sending someone our way.
And found somebody who's the perfect match for this pod. And yeah, again, if you haven't been looking in the YouTube comments, you should go in there and see the discussion or send fan mail.
Please. And signing off. Much love.
Bye, guys.